ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome to Commonsense Africa Podcast. I am your host, Ugochukwu Nwaokoro. Today is an exciting day. Remember when we were introducing this podcast, the Commonsense Africa Podcast, we told you that we're going to be heavy on restructuring of Africa. As one of the areas, one of the things or the issues that we're going to handle. So today, I'm excited to let you know that we've started. We are starting with Nigeria. So we're going to talk about Nigeria. Don't blame me. I know I'm from Nigeria, but no, on a more serious note, Nigeria occupies a very important position in Africa. Not only is Nigeria the biggest uh, country in Africa by population, it has the highest, GDP in Africa. So it has the biggest economy in Africa. So by that reason, uh, we think here at Common Sense Africa podcast that Nigeria should be highlighted first, because if Nigeria gets it right, the rest of Africa will get it right, or at least the chances of the rest of Africa getting it right will be high up there. So without further ado, what I'm going to be talking about tonight, I've picked four different areas to talk about when it comes to Nigeria, and the areas that Nigeria must restructure in order to move forward, in a very progressive and effective way. So, folks, when we talk about restructuring, often the time when we talk about restructuring, people get I don't know, people get afraid or thinking that restructuring is always splitting the country into bits and pieces, or into regions, or into different or multiple countries. No, restructuring that we're talking about is not about splitting Nigeria into multiple countries. The restructuring that we're talking about is restructuring the institutions of government. I personally don't want Nigeria to split. Because I'm fortunate to have lived or enjoyed Nigeria when Nigeria was working. In the 80s, I went to school at Federal Government College Port Harcourt, and everybody knows that people from all parts of Nigeria were in those federal institutions. So I enjoyed Nigeria then. I remember, during our days at Federal Government College Port Harcourt, regardless of what religion you are, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, we always look forward to the next holiday that is coming. If it's Ramadan, we are happy that the Muslims are having their season. We are waiting for when they will break fast so that we will all celebrate, we will all eat. If it's Christmas, the same time. So, I mean, the amazing thing then is, or was, when school closes, some of us wouldn't go home to our own various uh, families and stuff like that. Would join others and travel to their various homes in the north. Sokoto, Kaduna, Kano, wherever it is, we'll go there without any fear. We'll go there and celebrate whatever holidays that they're celebrating, and vice versa. They do the same thing during Christmas. Some of them used to end up in our homes. Some of the Muslims I'm talking about. So, restructuring for somebody that truly loves Nigeria. I understand there are certain parts of Nigeria that are marginalized, but if you restructure the institutions of government, there will be no room for that. Every part of Nigeria will benefit the dividends of democracy if we are going to be truthful to ourselves. So the areas I'm going to talk about, four areas that Nigeria must restructure. One of them is resource control. Nigeria must restructure the way we control our natural resources in Nigeria. The next area that issue that Nigeria must restructure is the National Assembly. The Nigerian National Assembly has come to be one of the areas that Nigeria wastes so much money but gets little or no benefit. Then the other area that Nigeria must restructure is the police. The police. And then the other one that I'm going to talk, these are the areas I'm going to talk about today, tonight, in this issue that we're talking about. Then the other issue is trimming down the government ministries. The government ministries are so large. Nigerian government is overwhelmed. So starting with the resource control, we think Nigeria should restructure the way our resources are being controlled. For example, if Nigeria would adopt this system whereby all the resources, regardless of what resource that we're talking about here, that will go back to the owners or at least down to the states. For instance, if Nigeria would restructure the way oil is being managed, the crude oil is being managed in Nigeria, in a way whereby all the drilling, all the production is being, they are being controlled by the state. The state controls the drilling, the state controls the production, but the federal government taxes the production. For instance, federal government can tax, the production of oil at 50%, 40%, whatever. Everything I'm saying here is just an example. So when oil is produced by the states, in this case the Niger Delta states, federal government taxes the production at whatever percentage that that is agreed on, whether it's 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever it is. So here now you see the Nigerian federal government gets the taxes without overhead, because all the drilling, all the expenses, or whatever it is that they're doing will now be borne by the states. So federal government gets the money, but without the overhead that as it is the current situation. So the federal government will no longer have the wasteful NMPC, will no longer have all those other parastatals that all they do is suck money, all they do is create room for corruption, for pillaging of the national treasury. So it will eliminate all that. So the only people that will have in the Ministry of Mines and whatever will be, or Ministry of Petroleum rather, will be those that make the policies, that implement policies. So those are the ones that will be there. Those are the ones that will monitor how oil is drilled, how production, monitor the production and all that. So you see, federal government will now be enjoying production, enjoying this oil, but without the overhead. Think about that. Think about how much money we'll save. So if you do that, you do that on oil, then you go down to other resources like bauxite. You say, okay, bauxite is not as lucrative as oil. We tax it at a lower rate, 20%, 15%, whatever it is. You go down to limestone. You do the same thing. You go down to all the other natural resources, gold, you do the same thing. But then when it comes to agriculture, no taxes. Instead of taxing, you give grants to farmers so that farmers will maximize production, will produce food, will have even enough food, to feed Nigerians, and then enough food to export. So that's how you build a successful economy. So resource control is a big one that we must do, Nigerian, if we really want to be sincere to ourselves, if we want to save money, if we want to make money, we must restructure the way our resources are being managed. Then the next area, which is to me is the big kahuna, is the National Assembly. Nigeria must do away with the current, bicameral system of legislature that we have now in Nigeria. There's no reason for the Senate or the House of Representatives in Nigeria. All they're doing is sucking money. I need you to go look at how much money these people get on ordinary newspaper allowance. Let's talk about all the other things, their salaries and all, the padding of the budget and all that stuff. So Nigeria should do away with this National Assembly that we currently have. We don't need that. Now, what do I suggest to replace that? I suggest that we introduce a system, a very unique system, that is called the House of Speakers. Every state in Nigeria has a state assembly. So from the state assembly, the speaker of that state assembly becomes a member of the new House of Speakers. So in this case, we have 36. So each state produces their speaker and another member or two as we decide. So these members of the state, the new House of Speakers, will from time to time go to Abuja when the president wants to present budget, or when there's a confirmation or whatever issue or laws to deliberate on or something. They go to Abuja, and then they stay in Abuja and take care of business. and then they go back to their states. Now, each state would have permanent staff in Abuja that would do the real research and the real work of the legislature. So if you adopt this system, think about how much money Nigeria is gonna save. I mean, go look at the budget. Go look at the amount of money that Nigeria spends on the National Assembly. But if you adopt what I call the House of Speakers, Nigeria would save enormous amount of money. For one, there's no salary to the speakers or members of the new House of Speakers because their salaries are already being paid at the state level. So all that money will be saved. When they come to Abuja, they are given stipend to go to Abuja for their flight ticket, for their feeding and all that. You know, so and while we're doing that, then we do away with this idea of governors' lodges and all that. There's no reason for any governor to be having a lodge in Abuja for whatever reason. That's another waste of money. Governors should focus and stay in their states. In their states and do this business of the state, conduct the business there. America used to have stuff like that, but they found out that it was a waste, and they sold all those properties. And I think Nigeria should do the same thing, regarding the governors having lodges. It doesn't serve any purpose, you know. So it does not serve any purpose at all. Any governor that has any business in Abuja goes there, stays in a hotel, and goes back to his state. If you start doing this, states will develop. Governors will now focus on their states and develop their states to look like Abuja, as against now that they have access. Some of the governors at this moment even operate from Abuja because they have access to Abuja. So we must do away with the National Assembly as so constituted now and replace it with the House of Speakers so that we can have money to run Nigeria the way we want Nigeria to be run. The other area that we must, if we want to police Nigeria, if we want to secure Nigeria, we must restructure the Nigerian police force. We must adopt the state police. State police is a must, is an inevitable must. It must happen before Nigeria can be secured. Otherwise, we're going to keep dancing around, we're going to keep moving all over the place, but still Nigeria will be insecure. Insecurity in Nigeria will still be there. I'll give you an example, and it happens all the time. People will tell you. In this, this present Nigerian police, a police officer gets fired from Kafanchan. He leaves. He knows, but he knows how police operates. But guess what? He goes to Afipo somewhere. He's not even from Afipo, but he goes there because he knows that nobody would disturb him. He knows how the system works. And he recruits some other folks, his own police recruits, and he teaches them, tells them what to do, and they open shop in Afipo or somewhere, and then they will start extorting money. They will start doing security work with Nigerian police uniforms because everybody recognizes that national police. But think again, if that weren't the case, that Nigerians recognize one police uniform, think about the situation whereby we have state police. So in this case, 36 police departments. So if a state fires a police officer, he cannot go to the neighboring states and start functioning as a police officer. That will never happen. But each state will manage their own. Each state will be able to police their own effectively. Another thing having a state police would do is this. Somebody from Lagos or Abuja that is going to his village will no longer have access to police officers that he's going to use to go to his village to terrorize people. He has to go down to his state quietly, and state police will be made to be not be personal security of individuals. They will do state police work. So when you eliminate that, the country will be better secured. Now, somebody said, okay, if we introduce state police, they're going to be the governor's personal security forces. And I said, no, the governor will not have any authority over the state police. The only authority the governor will have is the authority to nominate a candidate to become a state police officer. And when a candidate is so nominated, the candidate will be confirmed by the state assembly and then given a term of office. So he operates under the term of that office. The governor's security will not be coming from the state police. They will still be coming from the DSS. DSS will remain because the DSS will be doing the security of the president as well as the governors. So if you have a state police, the state police will only do when the governor leaves the state capital. Let's say he's visiting, for instance, if the governor is the Imo State governor, for instance, that's my state, so if the governor leaves the Owerri, the capital, and is visiting Okigwe or Olo, all the governor's security detail or DSS people will do is call the state superintendent of police. Governor is visiting Olo, and they will man security for where the governor is visiting. When the governor finishes, the governor goes back with the DSS security is on. So governor will not be using state police as his personal security officers. So once we do this, think about the money. Think about the money that we currently, governors get security votes, each state gets a budget for the state command. If you collapse that into one purse, you can have a very effective state police that will secure the states appropriately. So we must have a state police. State police works. State police will secure the country. There will no longer be these incidences of police cases, somebody being arrested by police, and then they never find the person again. Because currently, police can come from Sokoto on illegal duties. They go to a different state and they get, arrest somebody. The person can be killed. It's happened. And they will never solve that crime. And you will never find out which police that came there. All you know is Nigerian police. So, but if we have state police will bring policing down to grassroots. And the states, the country will be effectively policed, secured. So that is one area, that is one thing that we must, that if the federal government or Nigeria wants to know how to do all these things, I'm just summarizing them. I have a blueprint and we can do this thing. We can do the resource control, the National Assembly being replaced by the House of Speakers. Think about the enormous amount of money Nigeria will save. Enormous amount of money. So, and then think about how much money and how effective a state police will be. The other area that Nigeria must look at is trimming down the federal ministries. You go to Abuja, go to federal ministries, people lying around, doing nothing, but at the end of the month, they get salary. So our suggestion is this: trim down the staff of the federal ministries and get them down to the local government level. The only people that will stay are the policymakers. When policy is set, implementation is at the local government level. I borrow a leaf from the United States of America. If the Department of Education makes policies for on education, implementation happens at the municipal level, that's the city level. So the money trickles down, comes from the federal government to the state. The state now distributes it, to the to all the boards of education, and then the money gets to all the schools that need this money. So Nigeria must trim down all those people in Abuja on Jamboree with the federal government ministries. Everybody needs to get down to the local government level and start implementation. Every state has a ministry of education or ministry of agriculture. Get those at the federal level, except the ones that work on the policies. Get them to the state and the local government level, so that we'll stop wasting money. Another area that also Nigeria must visit is education. Government, please remove your hands from education, from running schools. It is a shame that some governments, officers, some government principal officers, while they are still in government, they own universities, they own secondary schools. Meanwhile, they are making decisions for these tertiary, government-owned tertiary institutions. And then you wonder why these institutions, government-owned institutions, never have enough money. So our suggestion is that government, please remove your hands from the education from owning schools. Now, somebody would ask, since government already owns the schools, should they be shut down? And I say, no, they should not be shut down. But government should work towards giving them autonomy. How do you give them autonomy? How do these schools gain autonomy? And we suggest government should. There are 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Government should adopt a system whereby every quarter they grant autonomy to one school in uh, each of the regions. For instance, if government decides to do that, government goes to Federal University of Technology, or where in this quarter picks in the southeast, picks that as one of the schools, goes to south picks another one, southwest, northeast, and so on. So every quarter you are liberating, you're granting autonomy to 6 schools, 6 federally owned schools. You go, oh, Mr. Futo, here is $1 billion for your autonomy. Give us a proposal how you're going to run and sustain your school. Mr. Federal University of Technology, or where it goes, presents proposal, presents how they're going, including tuitions and all that stuff, including whether they're going to kind of like develop industries, institutions, universities abroad own, factories, industries. We can do the same thing. So now, Federal University of Technology gets that money, and so will the other universities from the other parts of Nigeria. So every quarter you grant autonomy to 6. You continue until you finish all of that. And once you give them that money, you no longer have them on their federal budget. The money that will go to federal budget for education will now be kept aside for scholarship, for grants. If a school develops something, you can give that money to them on grant. We can give them money to develop or mass develop whatever invention that they've come up. So schools will now compete for that fund. And if any school, for instance, fails to sustain, itself, that school will be merged with one that is doing very well. So we think that these are the areas that Nigeria must work on. These are the things that restructuring that we're talking about should solve. Restructuring is not necessarily splitting the country into parts or into two or seceding or whatever. No, restructuring is to build efficiency. Efficiency in restructuring. I mean, I need you to think about all these things that I've talked about. Think about how much money Nigeria will save if we can adopt some of these things. If we can adopt a system whereby we no longer have the National Assembly as it is today, but instead we'll have House of Speakers. Think about if state control their resources and federal government no longer has overhead. Think about if we have state police, whereby each state will police their own. There will be no longer a national police that you have that creates room for officers doing very illegal duties. Think about that. Think about if, trimming down the federal ministries so that they can function better, so that they can function well. Think about all the other ways. Think about autonomy to our schools. Our schools will function better. Our schools will have money to function. Think about all this. On that note, I bid you goodbye for now and thank you for listening. Next week, we're going to talk about more areas where Nigeria needs to restructure. And then from there, we'll move out to the other parts of Africa and talk about what they need to do to. They can adopt all these things that we talked about in Nigeria because there's no reason. We should stop copying, for God's sake. We should stop. African countries need to know that we don't need to copy what is happening in America or Britain or whatever. We can design our own unique system and let it work. Rwanda is doing very well. Let's look at what Rwanda is doing. Let's look at that. If we restructure well, it wouldn't matter where the president, whether he's from this part of Nigeria in this case or not. It doesn't matter whether the president is Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba, Efik, or Edo, or whatever. It does not matter, because Nigeria will now be practicing meritocracy. President will now be emerging based on merit, not where he's from. I mean, if we do this, Nigeria will be a better place for all of us. There's strength in numbers. There's no need for Nigeria to split. Also, there's no reason for Nigeria to marginalize any part of Nigeria. So please, let's think about this. Let's be sincere to ourselves. Let's, speak the truth, and then let's make it work. We can do it, because if Nigeria works, other parts of Africa will work. Thank you very much, and God bless you.